Hello and welcome to One-on-One Sports. I'm John Roddy.
And I'm Cam Sosowski. It's that time of year again. The time for playoff baseball, the NFL's in full swing, MLS playoffs are starting soon, and kids are getting their costumes ready to trick or treat.
We here at One-on-One decided to take part in fall festivities this year with a special Halloween show, which is why Cam and I are wearing some of our favorite sports jerseys. But let's not get too carried away. Here are the quick hitters. Another week in college football is done, which means we are another week closer to the first ever college football playoff. Later this week, the College Football Playoff Selection Committee will prepare its first playoff rankings. If the playoffs started today, it would feature 3 SEC teams, Mississippi State, Alabama, and Auburn. Cam, will the SEC dominate this playoff system, or will someone else come up from the playoff ranks?
The SEC is definitely going to dominate this system, and they have dominated, they dominated the bowl system too in the past few years. You just look at the depth of this conference: Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi State, LSU, the list goes on and on. The SEC is the best conference in football, hands down.
I would have to agree with you completely. I mean, we see before last year's national championship, the SEC had won all those national championships in a row.
Yeah.
And I honestly thought that Auburn was going to win that game last year and continue the dominance. And even though they didn't win, they still had Auburn in the national championship. This year, they're going to have an all-SEC national championship. I'm calling it this year.
No.
And we saw LSU beat Ole Miss over the weekend in Baton Rouge. Yeah. And we thought Ole Miss was going to be one of the top teams in the country, but as shown the strength of the SEC, LSU able to beat the Rebels.
No, they beat each other up.
Yeah.
Honestly, the conference is so good that you can't come out of that conference.
I think people take it for granted a
loss.
lot too. I think people look at that score line and say, "Oh, it's a low-scoring game. The teams may not be that good," but that game was so packed with defense and just bullying each other. I just don't see any teams coming close.
No, the SEC is just unbelievable.
Yeah.
Cleaning house in Seattle. After trading away Percy Harvin and the New York Jets, running back Marshawn Lynch could be the next person to lead the Seattle Seahawks. According to ESPN reporter Chris Mortensen, the Seahawks would have put Lynch on the trading block this year had injuries not depleted their backfield depth. Nobody expects him to be back next year either. Is this a good move or a bad move to let Marshawn Lynch go?
Face palm right now about the Seattle Seahawks. You just won a Super Bowl. Yeah. Why is all of this roster shifting happening? I understand that Percy Harvin may have been a cancer in the locker room, but you still have a team, a core group of players like Russell Wilson, Richard Sherman, Marshawn Lynch. And although Lynch is getting on the older side, just keep these guys together. I know that Seattle's a team for the future, but why would Lynch leave? I don't understand the Seahawks right now.
On the other side of that, though, if you have a bad attitude in the locker room, that's toxic. That's absolutely toxic to your team. Pete Carroll, he's an experienced coach. He knows this. I think the Seahawks are going to be better without Lynch. He's getting up there. He's on the back. I do believe so. He's in the back half of his career. If you have his ego going off, he's not happy. The Seahawks not happy. The coaches aren't happy.
I mean, okay, I agree with you that maybe for the future, Lynch not being there is better for the Seahawks, but a lot of people are calling for a rebuilding process in Seattle. What about reloading? We see the Patriots do it all the time. And I see the Seahawks being like the Patriots have been in this past decade, where they just continue to reload around Tom Brady. That's what they should do here. Just get a new running back, get a new receiver, and slot him in.
Exactly, 100%.
Recently, the revamped Cleveland Cavaliers announced their final roster for the upcoming NBA season. However, one notable person that was not on the roster was shooting guard Ray Allen. After losing in the NBA Finals last year, the 39-year-old sharpshooter has been mulling over retirement from the NBA, but he has not declined the notion of playing one more season with former teammate LeBron James. Should he retire, or should he sign with the Cavaliers?
If he feels that he's in good enough shape to play, he should be able to play. The mark of great players is understanding when it's time to leave.
Agreed.
If he thinks he can remain competitive in the NBA and play to the skill level he's used to, then he should come back and play.
I will give you one big reason why he should come back and play. A, because LeBron James and three-point shooters, that is a match made in heaven. We've seen it over the years. Miami Heat, they had Mike Miller, Ray Allen. They even had off the bench James Jones coming in. And he's not even a good player, yet he was making all those threes off LeBron, penetrating, kicking out. Ray Allen, the best shooter of all time, should definitely be on the Cleveland Cavaliers roster. LeBron James made Boobie Gibson good. If he can make Boobie Gibson a good basketball player, he can certainly make Ray Allen a good 39.
Ray Allen's a Hall of Famer. So, you're playing with another Hall of Famer, LeBron James. And he also has the opportunity to win another championship, which is a big deal.
Plus Kyrie, Kevin Love, 2 really good passers of the ball.
Yeah.
It's made for success.
Yeah. No, he's got a great situation coming back to Cleveland. LA Lakers point guard Steve Nash has now been officially ruled out of the upcoming NBA season due to the ongoing nerve damage in his back. The former 2-time MVP and 5-time NBA assist leader will most likely retire at the end of the regular season, and many NBA experts suggest that Nash should be on the first Hall of Fame ballot. John, where does Steve Nash rank in your all-time top point guards?
3.
3.
A lot of people may be surprised by that. The only 2 people I have in front of Steve Nash in the history of basketball is Magic Johnson and Oscar Robertson. And for obvious reasons, Oscar Robertson, the stats just, you can't compare. And then Magic Johnson, the best point guard of all time.
Magic and Magic. But, I think John Stockton and Jason Kidd both have to be ahead of Steve Nash. They just had the defensive ability that Steve Nash lacked throughout his career.
Yeah, but what I like about Steve Nash, though, on the other side is Steve Nash is actually a scoring threat. I never saw John Stockton, I didn't see John Stockton play, but I know that John Stockton and Jason Kidd, they weren't really scoring threats. They just were really good passers of the ball. They were really good at penetrating off the pick and roll. Yeah. Steve Nash could get a pick from Marius Stoudemire back when he was with the Suns, take a 3. I don't think that the other 2 could do that.
They were by no means the offensive threat that Steve Nash was, but they were better all-around players, and I feel that they helped their teams win more. You need that defense at the point guard position.
Sure.
That's all we have for the quick hitters, but don't move a muscle as John sits down next with our MLB experts.